Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Real quick before we get started here, don't forget to check out Shield Folio for your security needs, your seed phrase security needs, especially if you use special code Bitcoin Live 20, all caps Bitcoin Live 20, you will get a discount if you use that site. And that with that in mind, today we have Steve. Peace, love, music. How you doing today, brother?
What's up? What's up, Jack? How are you today? I'm doing well.
Good, man. And very, very excited to have Mr. John Ennis with us, Dr. John Ennis, who is not only just a good friend that I've known from the Stacks ecosystem for a while now, but just an absolute brilliant builder. And he's going to tell us about really staying ahead of the curve with this episode. This is going to be a good one. I'm very excited about it. So, John, how's it going today, man?
Yeah, good. How you guys doing?
Doing well. So, a lot of people newer to Stacks, because most people who watch this, they're in the Bitcoin ecosystem or in a Stacks ecosystem. A lot of the newer people never really had a chance to play with NeoSwap. Unless they happen to be on Solana too. So why don't you just go ahead and start and tell us a little bit about what you've built and what you have built and what it's transforming into.
Okay, sure. So I'm John Ennis, CEO of NeoSwap, or I'm actually now Tool. We should be clear. We just rebranded to Tool. So people can go to Twitter and it's Tool_AI, TULLE, the fabric. It's the fabric the tutus are made of. It's kind of the fabric. There you go. Tool AI. So the basic idea of Tool is that Web3 makes a new type of commerce possible. And really blockchain, there's two sides to that. There's interoperability, and then you've got, of course, the permission, the censorship resistance. And what we want to do with Tool is we want to make people's assets spendable. That's the big vision. Give people direct purchasing power from their assets. And to do that, you have to do fairly complex matchmaking, where you need to have some estimate of how much people value their things, how much you value other people's things, have permission to execute trades on their behalf, and then you can execute swaps where people give up some items, including potentially currency, typically including currency, and they get some items, maybe they get currency. So you can think of it as this complex inventory model. And from a Bitcoin perspective, it's very interesting because, of course, I would guess we all are on board with ending the Fed. I mean, think about world downstream for fiat currency. And the issue there is that when you go back into the history of money, barter doesn't scale. The people who wanted to transact, barter didn't scale, so they came up with money. You start off with hard money eventually. Inevitably, it gets corrupted because at some point, people figure out you can run the scam where you tell people you're going to hold on to the money for them, but actually secretly you loan it out and get fractional reserve banking. And in the limit, fractional reserve banking becomes fiat currency, where the ratio goes to zero in terms of how much money you really have on hand. So
John, let me stop you right there just for a second and ask your question. I want to get back to barter doesn't scale. So basically, if Steve is a bricklayer and I am an egg farmer and you are a home builder, barter doesn't scale. Right. At some point, I've got something that perishes, he's got a skill set, he can do so much work. So that's really, I wanted to, just for people who are watching who may be, unfamiliar with how money works and why we have money and what we think of money. Barter doesn't scale. So that's what we're ultimately trying to change here.
Yeah. Economic activity is just this mutually beneficial exchange of value. When you have groups of people, they want to collaborate, and you're looking for this mutually beneficial exchange of value. However, pretty quickly, if you're just trading things or promises to do work for people, you need money, right? But then the trouble is, as soon as you need money, then eventually bankers are going to run society, and they're going to do all sorts of clever things like cook up the Fed. And most people don't even understand that the Fed isn't part of the government. It's a private banking cartel. People don't even know that. I mean, the whole thing is a giant scam. So we have to do something about this problem, because otherwise our society is just going to spin out of control and die, because the money's fake, everything's going to become fake, and that's what's happened.
That's what's happened.
So what do you do? Well, Bitcoin is one solution, and I think Bitcoin has a lot of positive attributes. It has some limitations. I think the privacy side of it maybe could be improved. I think probably the tail emissions could have been improved, but more or less it's the best attempt to date to fix the problem of fiat currency. Tool has another path, which is potentially very complementary to Bitcoin. That if people's assets can be put on chain, and that can be done on Bitcoin using, the site is just brand new. This is tool.ai.
That's awesome. Looks slick.
Thank you. If you can get the things that people own that are valuable recorded on chain, tokenized assets, you can also have the equivalent of upwork promises to do things. The more that you can register the things that people have that are valuable, and the more that you can get permission from people to transact on their behalf as long as certain goals are met, the less that you'll need money. That's the thing.
Right.
You're going to need money, but you won't need as much of it. And in fact, in our research, if I can scroll over there a little bit, please, if you can scroll to the right, so you can see our head of research. I'm not sure who's done. Yeah, so Bitcoin Live, if you can go back up to the who's who on the team. If you scroll over, you see our head of research is in Turkey. If you just click the right arrow. Okay, well, whatever. Our head of research is a professor of computer science in Turkey. He's worked in this area for about 20 years. And he's shown you can get the same amount of commerce to happen with only 10% as much currency. So this is another path where, you can fix the money and end the Fed. Unfortunately, the tremendous power associated with the money printer, so that's a very hard thing to do. And it's almost like you have to wait for society to break. You think about historically, has hard money been returned, usually there's been some major breakdown in society. It's power.
No, 100%.
Right?
Look at the Weimar Republic. That's
exactly. That's a pretty classic example. Yeah. Or you look at the Continental in the United States. Well, and the kind of crises that happened around during the Articles of Confederation. So you've had hard times usually, and then everything breaks down, and then you get hard money coming in. Now that might happen, and it would be great if it did. Like, it'd be great if we could get to hard money. But with Tool, what we want to do is provide maybe a more gentle off-ramp, which is this idea of this complex intent-based matchmaking where people can conduct commerce now with a lot of the value involved in the transactions coming from the items that they own or their commitments to do work. Now, of course, you're still going to need some currency. That's right. You're not going to get the value to match up in these trades if you don't have currency. But if you don't need as much currency, and when you're conducting commerce, you are giving up real assets that have their own independent value, that's much closer to an economy that's backed by hard money. Think about hard money. Hard money, that is, there's some durable value involved in the money. But if most of the exchange is actually assets, those assets have their value. And so that is a kind of, you can think of it as kind of in a hard commerce. That might be a way to think about it.
Yeah, and it's an iteration, right? Because getting to your point, the reality of the situation is, no matter how much we don't want to think about it or don't like to look at reality, the system that we're under right now is strained, it's stressed, and you're just like, every day you wake up, you're like, okay, something's got to give. So we're there no matter what. So this is a possible solution to use, the banker's words. Maybe we can have a softer landing, right? There's got to be some things that change structurally. Got to be some changes on how we look at currency, what we think about money, but actually how we conduct business. So, I guess right now, well, Steve, do you have any questions so far, man?
It's really interesting, super, super interesting. So glad I have a chance to hear you and meet you, John. I'm not super experience with NeoSwap, but I understand it a little bit. I researched a little bit on what you were doing, and it's very interesting. What you just said recently is, or just said just now, was that by tokenizing assets and trading them on your platform, you require less currency. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's beneficial, and B, how that's like what how that actually is achieved, why you need less money if you have tokenized assets to trade.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe if I can put a link here, I'll put a link in the private chat too. The host here, and what we can go. I can show you some examples to help. I think that this will do it. Okay, we'll see if we get that. Oh no, I missed that.
Well, so
There we go.
Correct
Okay.
me if I'm wrong. But what I was thinking is, okay, so let's say that I had a really cool boat and it was tokenized on chain, and my boat was worth $50,000. And John's got a 65 Mustang that's tokenized on chain, and it's worth a little bit more. So I might have to do my boat and then 5K of, whatever token. Is that kind of where you were going when you were talking about that, John?
Yeah, well, I would think we're going to probably start smaller, but here's a little thread that I put together. This is neoswap.cc/intro if people want to go and see this. And these are the kinds of trades that we can find with our trade finding engine. Now you have to understand what people's goals are. And a lot of the kind of adventure of our pre-seed has been figuring out how do you capture people's intentions on chain. Okay, there's this idea of intent-based matchmaking. But I think people haven't thought enough about intent solicitation and intent capture. That typically what intents mean are limit orders. For the most part, that's what people have, are limit orders. But we want to go much, much further with intents and say, okay, I'm willing to give up these things under these conditions as long as I get these other things. You can get very complex intents. In fact, that's really the vision of programmable money. We want programmable assets where
Right.
you can get these items to move around subject to different goals being accomplished. And of course, when you think about AI, like intelligence is the ability to accomplish complex goals, and artificial intelligence is just the use of machines to accomplish complex goals. So there's a lot of things that are coming together here when you have kind of programmable money that is attempting, like if you put together kind of programmable money with the AI, you can get very complex commerce to happen in ways where previously you only had selling and buying. And if the assets were illiquid, you either couldn't sell them. I mean, this is why liquidity is so important. If assets don't have clearly defined market prices, they just get frozen. And so we want some way of moving them around. Okay.
It's truly brilliant.
Oh, thank you. So, it's my life's work. I feel like everything in my life has been about putting me here to do this. So, yeah. So right now, if you want to get commerce to happen, you have to sell, get money, and buy. And that at least works, but it's got all sorts of efficiency problems. So what we want to, as much as possible, start to get commerce to happen directly and not pass through money all the time. If you were to make a chart of, what does commerce look like right now, it looks like a lot of hub and spokes as everything moves in and out of money. That's why liquidity pairs are so important. Right. And liquidity in general is such an important topic because you're always needing to move through liquidity pairs. So we want to go up a level, capture people's intentions, and then do matchmaking in the network. That's why we're called Tool, because we want to be matchmaking in that network. And the way this is going to start is either in toy examples, like in games where the assets are completely digital, okay? Or you can have trading of digital art, this kind of thing. But you also have tokenized real-world assets that are in vaults. And by real-world assets here, I mean actual physical goods, trading cards. You've got, whiskey. Boxes is a partner of ours on Solana. Tokenized whiskey, tokenized watches. You have tokenized art. Materium is another partner of ours. They're doing a lot of tokenization of assets. When items are in a vault and you're just trading, then you can start to get these exchanges of value to happen, and the items don't have to physically move.
you've only really been touching on the economics of it. We've only barely delved into the AI piece of this, which again
Mm.
is super impressive because as your journey's gone on and you've had all your iterations. I mean, I remember it had to be about a year ago now where I started getting notifications of, hey, you once traded this for this, and you might be interested in this, and that was
Yeah.
AI driven, right? Like that's really cool, and I would definitely like to hear where you think about not just how this is applicable tool, but where AI is going to take us, AI agents with digital money. I think that in and of itself is a fascinating topic that I personally am looking forward to learning more about.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about that now? Then
No,
maybe
no,
I can
there's
wrap up. All right.
yeah,
Let me wrap up the order that I see things going in. Okay. I think you're gonna in trading in person, say in apartment buildings, people will trade things. You'll have people coming together in town squares trading things, this kind of thing, trading in person, and then eventually it start to happen at a distance. But happening at a distance, like the full version of NeoSwap would be like, okay, could be things happening in supply chain. It could be Airbnb with matchmaking. There could be eBay. eBay is an obvious company to use these tools. But you start to get into logistical problems for the items. So that's kind of the relation.
here. I don't know if that was me. I couldn't hear you at the end. I don't know if that was my end or your end, John.
Oh, you missed. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I missed the. Yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay. How far did you make it?
Just made it to you. eBay was the last thing I heard.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
there'd be a
eBay would
tool
be a
eBay
natural
could
company.
use.
Yeah, yeah. Or Airbnb, or it can happen in supply chain. It'll eventually have to work its way out into the physical world at a distance. But those are the more challenging cases. So, for example, games right now we're using these tools in games, in Web3 games. It's a very good use case for us. Yeah, of course, NFT trading. We have a new product coming out on the 24th called Potato Cat, and I don't know. This is Shira is doing. Shira, is I met Shira at the Bitcoin Startup Lab. Very talented young woman who is excellent marketer, and she came up with, I think the URL is Potato Cat Swap. I don't know if we can pull that up, but this is one of our new products that's
It's
coming out.
catchy.
Yeah, let's see. A Potato Cat Swap. I don't know if we can pull that up. If someone can go to Twitter. Yeah, there it is. So it's at Potato Cat Swap. Okay. I'm not sure if our host can get that up in there or not. Yeah. So you wanted to talk about the AI. Should we talk about that next?
Nick,
Yeah.
can you pull up potato swap cat? Potato swap cat. Potato cat
Potato
swap. Yeah.
Cat Swap. There's the URL on Twitter. Oh, swap. There's a P on the end.
So that's cool, and I didn't even think about it when you first started about the digital game aspect of it, and even the Airbnb aspect of it. That blows my mind, because really we're stuck in we know how commerce works in the real world, we know how commerce works in Web 2, and you're showing us early ways how commerce will work Web 3.
Hold on, the handle is Potato Cat Swap.
Yeah, no, that's really cool, man.
Yeah, so this is not the right address. Let's see if we can get it. Nope, not Potato Swap. Potato Cat Swap. You're gonna have to go directly to Twitter.
Put the
there you go.
Twitter link in there.
Yeah, there it is.
I don't know if you can pull it up.
Yeah.
We'll make it
that's awesome. That's catchy. That's catchy art.
The idea of Potato Cat Swap is there you go. And if you click, maybe you can click on the potatocat.ai.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is totally doing this stuff.
That's really
one of the
cool.
nice things about being Tool is that we can separate the engine from the front end, so we can do fun things like Potato Cat and not have to worry about, like, Tool is B2B, but this can just be some fun thing, and people can sign up for early access here. The idea is this is this interface for matchmaking people with complementary goals. And when this is live, what you'll see, in fact, you can use an early version of this at, I'll put a link in here, at neoswap.xyz/collection swap. I think that's the URL. So maybe we can get that up in just a second. But the idea here is you say, okay, these are the collections I'm looking to get rid of. These are the collections that I'd like. And then our interface will figure out, okay, if you were going to have a swap where this is kind of a simplification. Yeah, there you go. You're only going to give up you're going to give up one NFT and you're going to get another NFT. Now, you probably don't have a Solana wallet connected, so I don't think we're going to be able to do much on this. But maybe we can just can you click on one of these swaps? Let's see what's an interesting swap where we have decent savings. Yeah, click on view swap. Are we sharing the? Oh, it's because it's trying to connect your wallet. So we'll just give it a minute. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's trying to connect a wallet there. Anyway, this is the interface where it becomes very easy to capture this intention where you say, I'm trying to give up this NFT and I'm open to getting any of these collections. And so you can effectively make a collection bid. That's fine. You can make a collection bid using one NFT for lots of collections. And then we also figure out what is a fair deal to both sides. And we show people how much money are you going to save, or will both sides save by swapping, where you have an NFT plus or minus some money for an NFT collection. How much money will both sides save by swapping directly? Okay. So that's movement towards that complex intent capture. All right. So it's actually very sophisticated under the hood, but the net result is you can now give up NFTs that you don't want, get NFTs that you do want in a very simple, seamless way. So it's way more efficient than traditional OTC trading is very arduous. It
is, and people who aren't NFT collectors, they don't quite feel that pain of having something when it's, like you said, a liquid is just frozen. It's just another way of saying it's frozen. So I mean, it's very cool to see. I've always been fascinated by this idea of a different form of commerce than we think about existing. Because of just the way that things are, not the way that they can be. You're showing us here a way that things can be, and it's got a lot of use case for well beyond just what we think of as quote unquote crypto, right? I mean, that's really cool.
I have I have a question about if you've thought or considered how this application might function with regard to real estate as a real world asset. Mm-hmm. I'm a realtor myself.
Yeah. Well, I think the question, a big topic when it comes to mortgages is assignable mortgages. And assignable mortgages exist, but they are not very common. And the idea, I'm sure you know this, is that the idea is if I've got a mortgage on a house, I should be able to let somebody else take on that mortgage as long as they're credit worthy enough to qualify for the same mortgage that I qualified for.
All VA mortgages are actually assignable. Every single VA mortgage is an assignable mortgage.
Okay, well, that's very good to know. I mean, you've got so many hurdles when it comes to real estate. People are working on this, of course. There's lots of companies that are working on tokenized real estate. But I think once real estate is really tokenized and mortgages are assignable and you have the credit scores, you maybe have credit, another thing, of course, is zero knowledge proofs, ways of verifying that somebody really is credit worthy but respecting their privacy. There's a lot of tools that are going to need to come. But
sure,
assuming that all this development really happens, I think at some point you'll have real estate markets that are much more standardized and much more interoperable. I mean, the president of my first company lives in La Palma in the Canary Islands, and it took her she had an agreement to buy a house, and it took her something like 3 years from the time she had the agreement to actually finalize the sale because the paperwork was just such a disaster over there in La Palma.
So the title transfer paperwork?
The title transfer took 3 years. Yeah.
That's not functional, obviously.
No, it's totally not functional. It's apparently some of the people that work in the office in the government offices are like illiterate. They only have the jobs because their parents had the job. I mean, it's really bad, Yeah. And so I think when you've got like enormous inefficiency all around the world in all these little different niches. Eventually, blockchain is going to clear that out, and you're going to have everything happening on chain, and it'll be just way better for everybody. I mean, it won't be so great for the, nepotistic appointees who are living off the,
right,
free money, but like, whatever.
Just out of curiosity, what's that timeline look like to you? You think we see that in our lifetimes?
I don't know. I mean, AI is going to accelerate a lot of things. These are social problems more than anything else. Like, because of course the nepotistic hires don't want the more efficient thing to come along. But to get back, is it Dave? Is that correct? I just want to make sure you get your name. Steve. Okay. Yes. Sorry, Steve. All right.
No problem. I hide behind other names. Not really, though.
Okay. All right, Steve. I'm trying to cut down on the nicotine packages, and so I haven't had any today, and I'm not feeling very sharp. So apologies. I do like.
You're doing great as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks. But to get back to real estate, once everything is on chain and the assets are tokenized, and there's some way of verifying that somebody could qualify for this loan or that would be a way more fluid market, because you could say, like right now, I couldn't move, right? I mean, I have a beautiful house that I bought at 3% mortgage, the 3% interest rate years ago. Our mortgage is like $1,600 a month, and it's beautiful. And if something came up and we had to move, I would be looking at probably twice the mortgage payment to have something that's not as nice as what I currently have, simply because of the interest rate.
The interest rate and prices have gone up ridiculously high.
Oh yeah.
So and that's actually a huge factor in the current inventory crunch we're having. Is we're not getting move up buyers because they can't move up, because they have, even though they have equity, the houses that they'd be buying are so much higher that they can't afford the monthly payments they're looking at to move up.
Right.
So everything is stuck.
Right. That's right. I mean, the high interest rates are a function of the money printing too, to a large extent, because they're having to pull in inflation. So, I mean, it all comes down to the manipulation of the money printing. Okay. Well, I think that will happen too. That real estate will eventually go on chain, but it could be a longer timeline.
Yeah. And so basically you could, with the tooling that you have, let's use that as a hypothetical, because I like trying to build the mental pictures for the people viewing. So if I have a $200,000 house and you have a $300,000 house, and like you said, everything lines up, we should, in the ideal situation, be able to switch mortgages. What would that look like on a tool powered trade? Because
it'd be way more complex than that. I mean, and you would end up with a situation where you're going to. The closest thing to something like this that exists in the world right now are the kidney swaps. You guys might know about the market for kidney donations, where you have donor matching and you get these chains of people swapping kidneys. Do you know about this?
I've been on the clinical side of that, but I've never been on the actual, how do you obtain, past donation? No. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the idea is that your loved one needs a kidney. Like you've got, right now, if you're suppose that I needed a kidney and my wife wanted to donate one to me, probably she's not a match for me. Okay, but she could be a match for somebody else. And if you can get a network of people together, where every person who needs a kidney has a willing donor, then you can get these chains where actually each person is making a donation for somebody else's partner, and you can get a lot more people to get kidneys by doing it that way. Okay, so that's these chains. This is something that exists, and it's probably saved. I think somebody won a Nobel Prize for it. Actually, I have a book called
Really?
Who Gets What and Why, where they talk the author of that book is one of the guys that really championed that innovation. Yeah. So I think you'll have stuff like that start to happen in the mortgage markets, where you want to buy a house, there's going to be some sort of a chain, and I do think you're going to need some liquidity. Some houses will have to be sold, and some houses will have to be bought. It's not going to be just pure swaps, or just a pure network. I think what's going to happen is, each day there'll be some clearinghouse where you'll know what all the intentions are. These people want to buy, these people want to sell, and you can do simultaneous settlement. It'll be like it'll be this kind of clearinghouse where you start to match up what, if you could sell your house for certain amounts. Like here's the thing. You might say, okay, I'll bid on this house as long as I'm going to be able to sell my house for at least this much. Okay. Because you know that if you can sell your house, now you've got enough money to buy the other house. So I think you can start to get these more and more complex arrangements, but there's a big UX problem here in being able to capture all this. And you need a lot of interoperability. So that might be 10 years away before you really see this in the real estate markets.
So what blockchains do you prefer or think are going to be most optimal, for commerce like this? Because I'm listening to you talk and I'm imagining, okay, we know that problems with like the L1s, like Bitcoin, is fees, right? Like Bitcoin as it exists does not answer the world's problems, because if everyone's like immediately like Bitcoin's our money, well, guess now a transaction costs $2,000, right? For example. So you're thinking this is going to have to take place on other blockchains. Other blockchains are going to solve problems. What blockchain do you like for Tool so far? What have y'all? What's in your process? What have you discovered?
Yeah. Well, I mean, from a performance perspective, Solana is really great to work with. Right now, I kind of see this like Solana Bitcoin dichotomy, where if you need hard settlement, Bitcoin is the best choice, and if you want performance interoperability, Solana is the best choice. And I actually think you could end up with people bridging Bitcoin assets to Solana, and Solana may be the winner in the Bitcoin L2 space just because it has so much gravity already. I am not personally a big fan of Ethereum, although there's a lot of technology over on Ethereum. I don't know. Maybe it's just because of my personality that, I just feel like the Ethereum stuff is, I don't know, sometimes it seems like complication for complication's sake. And you've got L2s and L3s. It just seems like a lot of words. That's what it feels like to me.
And it's a lot of, I think fundamentally they're trying to solve their fee problem. And that, you the L2s to L3s, it gets far too convoluted. And I'm not personally, I've used Ethereum a lot as a trader, right? Not as a builder. I'm not a big fan of Ethereum right now. I'm not super bullish on it. I think it's not going anywhere yet because of the ETF. But it's not as good as some other things out there. But I think that this cycle we're in right now in the market, we're actually probably going to see a few smaller chains just die. I think you're going to start seeing some consolidation of liquidity into Bitcoin and maybe some other top 5 as some of these other chains go. But I'm not super bullish on Ethereum. Solana.
For me, I had to say something here, Jack. For me, when they went to proof of stake, it was over as far as I was concerned.
Yeah. No, that was a big mistake. It's true.
I mean, the climate narrative, it's just so ridiculous. Like if I can just talk about this for a little bit.
No, please.
The fact is, blockchain replaces tons of people driving into their offices and air conditioners running and signing off on wire transfers and all this overhead involved in the financial system, which dramatically outweighs whatever energy usage.
Right.
Anyway, right? And on top of that, it's all silly in the first place because we should just be using nuclear power. And then it's even to be determined. Yeah, I do think we're having creating order requires energy. So the idea that energy usage is inherently bad is wrong.
Right.
And that idea just has to go away, just like the idea of minimum wage needs to go away. These are just bad ideas, and they just have to go away.
You can't run a complex society, a modern society, on windmills. You can't do it.
Yeah. That's right.
Need that. Fundamentally, I think that's why the media plays so many language games and word games, because they kind of hide the problem behind taglines and buzzwords. But the problem is, if you want to make the world a better place, you want energy to be as plentiful and as cheap as humanly possible, as physically possible. That's the reality of the situation.
It's the fastest way to grow people out of poverty is cheap, abundant energy availability to them.
And there are no wealthy, low energy, countries. Yeah.
No, and the other side to that is this is all also based around the carbon credit scheme. It's it's a replacement to the petrodollar scheme is what they've been working on. So this is
Right.
the driver. There's a number of factors.
Right.
Windmills and solar panels are built in China. It was part of building the industrial base of China on the U.S. dollar. Right. It's a scheme. I mean, we're all. I think we all see that the same way.
When we say fiat's a Ponzi, fiat is a scheme. So everything connected to central banking is going to be a scheme, right? Mm-hmm. Like, in the Bible it says you can judge a tree by its fruit, right? Now, right. You don't have to believe or not, but it makes sense. A bad tree is not going to produce good fruit, right? So, like, fiat, central banking, it's all a scam, and it's the mother of all these other scams. And this is just another example of that.
Yeah, that's right.
But between automation and AI, imagine a world you have AI, you have automation, you have cheap energy. What does that world look like for humanity? It looks like the closest you can get to utopia.
Yeah, the abundant. That's right. And people could you have to wonder, like, why is it that working hours have not really gone down, even though productivity has gone way up? And it's because of all the wealth that's getting spun off to the top, you know? And I think that's why you see such pushback against why is the Biden regime so opposed to crypto? Well, it's because they want all that rent extraction to happen.
Exactly.
And so, these are perilous times we live in. I mean, we're recording this on the 14th. We just had July 13th, the date that will live on in infamy, J13. We're really, Trump is going to be at the Bitcoin conference next week. And, he seems like he's getting really good advice there about, supporting Bitcoin. And, I think we're at a kind of knife's edge right now in terms of, are we going to go into this abundant future with hard money and complex matchmaking and nuclear energy and AI powering things? Or are we going to go to basically, serfdom?
Right. A dark ages. No, it's true. And it is hard to, I'll just speak from my own heart right here. It is hard to talk about, as much as I love the future and I love this space and I love crypto and Bitcoin. It's hard to focus on a day like today because, yesterday it does carry that kind of like 9/11 trauma a little bit. It's not on the same magnitude, but it's in the same family, right? Like it's really, you're right. It's a historical moment. And it should make people kind of wake up to the reality of the situation that we find ourselves in. Not just as Americans, but as humans on this planet, because everything we're talking about here has ramifications for every man, woman, and child on this planet, whether we're talking about why fiat is a scam, why central banking is a scam, why we have, these just basically, I'll say this, I really don't care. People
all reach that point. Enough's enough, especially after yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. It's like an anti-human agenda being played out at scale, and it doesn't have to be this way. And a lot of it is people just having to examine things that they probably never examined very closely before. But we're at that time where it's time to start doing that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm just gonna make sure my kids are home. Yeah. But go ahead, please.
Imagine how today would be if it was successful yesterday.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want to think about it.
It would be a very. I'd be concerned about what was going to happen in our society. That was the conversation I was having.
That's right. You just have Nikki Haley.
Well, it's not even that. There would be a massive civil unrest in this country.
You think so? I would have thought. Yes. I would have thought that until recently, but I don't know. It seems like people are willing to put up with a lot.
But they've already been put up. They're backed into a corner, and that seems like it's actually the setup that they're trying to facilitate. Yeah. All right, let's say it wasn't. Let's just entertain the possibility that it wasn't just some lone actor and that there was something else involved. It's curious that this guy was able to not be surveilled, setting himself up to do this, and or that they had an open space that was available to him. So that's curious. It lends itself to the possibility that there was more involved than just this guy acting. And if their intent was to knock off Trump, there's a bunch of people that feel like the last election was stolen, or at least not legitimate and on the up and up. And
no, it's certainly rigged. I mean, look, the intelligence agents lying about the Hunter Biden laptop. That was definitely rigging. Whether you,
it's kind of a rigged. It's kind of a rigged process and a rigged. It's the whole system's kind of rigged anyway, in my opinion. Right. But this would have been. The intent seems to have been to cause massive civil unrest.
Oh, 100%. I wouldn't put it past him to kill Trump and then do a bunch of false flag stuff to try to crack down on the right. I mean, they're so evil. Like
you're
which
exactly
still may
right.
be coming. Still may be coming.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm so thankful, and I try not to judge an individual's motives, because as a human, I'm in no place to do that and be right about it. I have no way of knowing. So I can't say anything about Elon Musk other than I am thankful that he bought Twitter. Because
we've been told. I mean, look, it wasn't on the news, and then try to say, "Oh yeah, Trump was scared by sounds" or whatever headlines were going on. Oh, he was scared by sounds. Oh, okay, that's what happened.
That's unreal.
I don't know if you guys know comedian Kurt Metzger posted a clip, an image of the CNN headline, and it was. He posted, "I'll never forget where I was the day Trump was injured in an incident."
Right.
Yeah. That's what the headline was.
Unreal.
No, it's awful. Anyway, maybe we can get back to Web3 and blockchain. So but what we are at a kind of knife's edge, I think, as a society, and I think that you do have a much more abundant, plentiful future available. There's a lot of concern about running out of resources. That's a fake concern, because technology always leads to more and more efficient uses of resources.
100%.
If you look at how much aluminum was in tin cans or that sort of thing, that you have, even though you have many more cans being produced now, you actually have less aluminum being used because the can technology keeps getting better and better. And also you have advances like, fracking or whatever, where you're able to get more and more out of the resources you have. Or you have advances in what will definitely be a game changer, are advances in nuclear technology. Right. You're going to have AI with these positive feedback loops where things keep getting more and more efficient. And Tool is an economic efficiency engine where items that people own that they're not getting any value from will get recirculated in the economy, and that will unlock a lot of value. So we have a chance to go into a much more abundant future, but we have to stop getting distracted by stupid things. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what's going to happen, but I think last night though was very, very inspiring for me. When I'm going to cry, honestly. The way Trump got up, and came back. I mean, that was incredibly courageous.
When people, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, I was just agreeing with John. It was definitely it was momentous to see him.
It was act of greatness. I mean, it was an act of greatness, like Churchill, Napoleon, Caesar, whatever. I mean, he just got shot, and he doesn't know how badly injured he is, and he doesn't know if there's more shots coming, and he still stopped and inspired the crowd. What a man! Yeah. I mean, so inspiring.
The adrenaline's coursing through his body in that moment to maintain that level of composure is elite. It's just
that's a man of history.
Straight up,
it's incredibly inspiring. Yeah. So that was good because courage begets courage. Musk has been courageous too, and we were able to see this because of Musk's courage. And we all need to be more courageous. Right. We need to stop putting up with all this stupid BS.
That's you cut to the heart of it. It's about courage. Like it's always been about good versus evil. I mean, if you take it down to brass tacks, you have to understand that that there's levels to this stuff, man, and courage is a virtue. And for the people who don't understand that image and like to think, oh, that had to be staged, because why would someone do that?
Yeah, that was one of the more bizarre things. You couldn't even relate to courage. Someone couldn't even relate to courage, and they're trying to say it's staged because they can't even imagine being courageous. That like someone could actually do that. Yeah.
If you don't understand that, you haven't been tested yet, or you gave up the very first time you got tested. I mean, it's just that simple.
Well,
that is determination.
That's just the. Yeah. Well, masculinity's been under attack for a long time, and that's what it is. It's a lack of masculinity. Yeah,
it's true. It's very true. So real quick, I did want to ask you this because you like I said back in the day, this is over a year ago, you were already using AI in your products.
Right.
What does AI in the blockchain look like to you in the next?
Well, there's different levels. I mean, just like the human brain, it's not just like one entity. It's a whole series of modules that work together. Sometimes they compete, sometimes they collaborate. I think that these intelligent systems will also be a series of modules that support each other. Sometimes they may compete. I mean, of course, you have adversarial networks which do explicitly compete. But when inside tools, sort of technology stack, at the top end, we are actually starting to use LLMs for collecting intents. And in fact, if I come over to link in here, let's see, we've got this GenoPets pack finding tool. I'll put a link in here. That should work. This has got our Theo chatbot. So this is now, we've realized the vision now of, and I've talked about this, probably talked to you about this years ago, Jack. This had Theo chatbot.
Yeah. That's wild.
To get packs to start playing this game, GenoPets on Solana. So you can click on the tab that says Theo chatbot. There we go. Great. So this is an interface that can read from somebody's wallet. It can make suggestions to somebody that knows about GenoPets, knows about Cool, and it can put together packages of things for people to buy. So that's the kind of front end, using LLMs for helping with intent extraction and intent solicitation. People don't always know what they want. Through conversations, you can help people figure out what they want. We're talking to Boxus about having a similar interface for whiskey buying. Someone might say, well, look, I've got $500. I want to buy a couple bottles of whiskey. And you have a conversation with the chatbot. The chatbot goes back and forth and helps you to find things that you would like and stay under budget. Okay. See, it's staging the transaction. So that would go through if you had a Solana wallet on that machine. Okay, so that's the top end of the AI. Now, what you were getting a few years ago was this machine learning model for predicting how much you value things. So that's something where you do need a fair amount of data to train these models. But using market research AI techniques, we've got these individualized price prediction and ultimately preference prediction models where you've got a person, you know a bunch of things about the person, you have some tokenized asset, you want to predict how much to value that asset. Okay, so we want to go be a step beyond market price prediction. We want to go to individualized price prediction. Okay, so that's in there. And then at the base layer, we have very good algorithms for doing the intent-based matchmaking. Okay, and that can be explicit optimization or it can be heuristics. Eventually, you may be able to train models to provide approximate answers. It could have that could take on the shape of a generative AI in the long run, but you would really need a lot of data to do that. You could probably do it with simulations, and then eventually that could be generative AI, but it can act like one where you say these are the intentions. Okay, what trades do we want to get? And it can propose trades. So there's kind of three levels. There's the chat, the LLMs for the interface with the user. You've got individualized price predictions through kind of machine learning models, and then you have an optimization engine for trade finding at the base layer. So that's kind of a stack. I think Jack's frozen. Stu.
Jack? Oh, I think he is frozen. It's wicked cool. I I so you're that on the Genocats. I mean, I'm sorry, What was it called?
Genopets. That's a game
Genocats.
on Solana.
I just had
Yeah.
it. I just had it up, and so you basically you have an account. You connect your wallet. And you want to chat with them. I mean, you chat with the chatbot about what you're looking for as far as the NFTs. I'm assuming it's some kind of NFTs or something.
Well, these are in-game items.
Or game pieces. Yeah.
Yeah, in-game items. Yeah.
But they're in-game items. They're also essentially NFTs of some kind that are being traded.
Yeah, or they're SFTs. They're tokenized assets. Yeah.
Okay. And then but the AI can actually determine what you're looking for and set up the order for you based on what you chat with it about.
Yeah, that's right. And also can potentially sell your things. If you're trying to bring the price down, you want to buy a bunch of stuff, you want to bring the price down, we can potentially sell off things that you have as well at that time.
I actually see the real estate market going this way. Like I'm a real estate agent. I don't think that there will be real estate agents. There won't need to be. It'll just be an AI platform, or an AI-based platform where people go on, they interact with an agent that talks to them about what they're looking for. I'm buying a house. Here's my credentials. Same thing. I'm listing a house. You probably have you're probably going to be able to just scan your house and do a 3D walkthrough like they do with the Matterport, nice heavy Matterport cameras now. You'll be able to scan your house. They'll be able to do walkthroughs. You'll have virtual tours, and it'll all be online on a hopefully massive open public platform. But MySpace is being disrupted a lot right now as far as the real estate industry and how we interact with clients now. So it's rife for some of these changes to start being applied, especially on the AI side. That's and it's already it's been in the marketing for the bigger brokers and everything have been using it in the space for a long time. But at the same time, we were talking about you had mentioned how come people are still working the same number of hours. Somewhere in that equation, you have the idea that from an economic standpoint, there's always a productive use for surplus labor. So no matter how productive we get in producing stuff, if there's massive amounts of leisure time, there's always some use to put that to that's going to be productive. Even if it's like a personal growth experience, there's going to be something productive coming out of that. So
well, standard of living has gone up, right? However,
sure,
you now finally have life expectancy starting to actually go down again, and that's a bad sign. That you would expect if our lives are really just consistently improving, our life expectancy should be continuing to improve. But that's no longer true in America, where it's now come back. It's starting to turn and come back down. So that's a bad sign.
I think a lot of that has to do with what they're putting in our food and doing with our food.
Well, that's right. Why is it so hard to you have to make a lot of money just to get food that's not poisonous? I mean, it's kind of crazy that you have to pay people to not put poison in food.
You have to be aware of how bad some of this stuff is too. I mean, it's really people don't know. And I'm diabetic, so I had the good fortune of I got COVID. It almost killed me. It hospitalized me, but I determined that I'm diabetic, which now I can change my diet, get more exercise, and manage my diabetes. So in the long run, it'll probably end up possibly of saving my life or added years to my life, just becoming aware. But not everybody has the opportunity of finding out that they're poisoning themselves to the degree that they are. And that's right. That's a big thing we need to address in our society. That's
right.
It's controlled by the same, the Rockefeller FDA, the petrochemical, the health industry is part of the same thing.
But see, a lot of this comes from fiat currency, because how do we have all these 3-letter agencies, right, that have giant budgets? Where does the money come from? If people have to actually pay their tax money to fund all this stuff, you wouldn't be able to fund nearly as much of it. But instead, they just run the money printer and they fund it. So you have all this increasing regulation. Thank God the Supreme Court got rid of. Was it the Chevron deference? Is that what that was that they got rid of? That like it does seem like the administrative state is getting rolled back a little bit. Yeah.
I guess, but if you look at it from the point of view of, so right now the head of state is obviously a sock puppet for an establishment that was not elected. So the corporate state is actually very much in control. And so anything that gets maybe rolled back that's not part of their actual agenda, there's like 8 other things being done on the other points that invalidates the one thing that you've got better anyway. So it's a challenging situation. I don't mean to be depressing because I'm actually a very optimistic person. I'm very optimistic about our future stuff. We've been, I've been working with the D Grants platform, and there's so many people building really cool things and sharing ideas, like getting into things and helping with this. And you do a little bit of promotion, you can help me with this. You know some stuff about economics, can you help me with my tokenomics? Or I don't understand anything about programming, and people that know these things willing to just kind of come along and help each other. And that's making me very optimistic about the space and what's coming. What's up, Jack?
Yeah, that's right. It's the best of times, worst of times. Yeah.
Technical difficulties. Got it back though.
Okay. Well, we filled the time. So
yeah, that's what I said. That's what I told my wife. Is that's why I always have a panel, man.
Yeah, that's right. We solved all the world's problems while you were gone. So
no, look, if anybody could do it, brother.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is there anything before we log off? Anything else you want to let everyone know about Tool? I think that it's such a high level concept, because I've noticed that since we've launched Rue and Stacks Invaders and stuff, like even in crypto, you can get on a higher level than you realize you're at. And so I want to bring it just down to like the very most inexperienced newbie to the space. Like at that level, what do you want people to know about Tool?
Well, Tool is powering a new type of economic activity, new form of commerce that we are going to have a much more efficient form of commerce thanks to blockchain and the AI tool. So I think that Tool is really revolutionary. I mean, the reason I've got a lot of my wallet, I think that Tool is going to be an economic.
It could double the global GDP. Oh, my sound is muffled. Okay. Can you hear me? We just make sure that I'm using the right speakers.
Yeah, you were muffled for a second.
Okay.
You're good now.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very exciting. This is a game-changing innovation. And there's a lot of work to do. One thing I've learned is you don't really want to build for the future. You need to build the future. There's a subtle difference there. That when you're building for the future, you're taking a guess at what you think the future is going to be, and then you're trying to go and put your flag out there. But actually, you have to take the world from where it is now to where you think it needs to go. You have to build the steps in between to yourself. You got to wait for things to come online. But you may have to really simplify your vision to something that can be done today. That's what we've really learned. And we now, with the pack finding tools, or smart auctions, we didn't really get into those, but that's another tool that people are interested in, and that we've done a lot of smart auctions over the years. Now Potato Cat, sign it, follow Potato Cat too, please. I would say people should follow Tool, and then Potato Cat with early access is they can actually go to potatocat.ai and sign up for early access, and they can earn potatoes. Those would be the points. But this would be a fun way to experience our technology. Stay tuned and support us. That we are doing something really hard at Tool.
Yeah, those old swaps were so much fun. I highly encourage anyone watching, anyone listening, to go follow John, go check out Potato Swap, go check out Tool. This stuff is it's the next level. It truly is. Again, you know, it's human nature to conceptualize everything in the now. But things change. And with Tool, you're watching something so fundamental to our existence change in real time. It's fascinating. So just for the intellectually curious, for the degens, for anybody, this is good stuff. Stay on top of this. This is how you stay ahead of everyone else. Steve, you got anything else you want to say today, man?
Real quick. Number one, Jack, Stacks Invaders, such an awesome, fun thing. Thank you guys for doing that. So cool. I do want to really quick mention I am actually going to start hosting my own
Nice.
show on Thursdays. And I'm always interested in doing your show every time, all the time, whenever you want me. But I'm going to do a Thursday afternoon show called Deorganized with Peace Love Music, and we're going to be featuring a lot of the D Grants projects, or anyone that really wants some coverage is going to be able to come on. First show this is going to be with Good Kitty. Hattie's going to be helping me out with that, and I really love some support on that. And
Nice.
yeah, John, thank you so much. I really I love what you're doing. It's very interesting. I'm so glad I had a chance to get in this conversation with you, and I look forward to doing a little bit more with NeoSwap and seeing how I can use that.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And it's Tool now. I still say
Oh, Tool. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah.
Tool. Yeah.
Tool.
Yeah. TULLE. Tool. And people can follow me on Twitter too. I didn't put that in, but John_Ennis_BTC. If anybody wants to follow me on Twitter.
It's always fun to talk to you, man. Are you trying to, just on a personal note, are you giving up the nicotine, or are you just trying to back off a little bit?
Well, I'm still gonna smoke cigars. I do think nicotine's good for your brain, but I think I've been overdoing it. It's easy to go through.
It's easy, especially with Zen. Man, I'll go through a can of Zen in a day if I'm not careful.
Yeah, I don't think it's healthy to consume that. I mean, the trouble with nicotine is if you've got cancers in your body, it'll cause tumors to grow faster. So that's what they're like that for. Plus, there's a lot of additives and chemicals in the Zens, so I kind of find that good fun. So I think I'll just stick to cigars and pipes, sporadically.
Well, guys, I appreciate y'all coming on, and thank you. And I learned a lot as usual. And so, yeah, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And follow John, follow Steve. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jack.
What goes with that?